corridors have been torn up in preparation for creating ramps. In the meantime, we're walking in the middle of the street to get to church. And I was thinking that when it's dark, as we're leaving, we're going to be walking in the middle of the street, kind of risky, getting back to our cars for those of us who parked in front. Now, those ramps have created a bit of an alternate route for us. And that alternate route can be a little dangerous. Alternate routes have that potential to lead us sometimes where we're not sure we want to go. But eventually those alternate routes will create for us a better entry for people. For people dealing with wheelchairs or dealing with walkers or dealing with blindness, those people will have a better access eventually. The world will be a little bit better place. So I think it's okay for us to put up with a little bit of an alternate route for a while. You see, our entire faith is made up of alternate routes. God is constantly putting us on alternate routes, whether it's Abraham and Sarah or Mary and Joseph. You see, Mary and Joseph had everything planned out for themselves. They were betrothed, they were up in Nazareth, everything was fine. And then it all changed. They ended up on an alternate route that led them to Bethlehem. An alternate route that led them to giving birth to the Son of God. And that wasn't the only alternate route that we heard during this Christmas season. We heard about the alternate route that the shepherds took, up taking care of their sheep, when they see angels proclaiming the birth of the newborn Messiah. They take an alternate route and head into Bethlehem, where they see a child wrapped in swaddling clothes. Now that's not the only alternate route. Of course, the Magi who follow the star, they themselves come through Jerusalem to Bethlehem. And warned by an angel, they end up on an alternate route as well on their way home. Things change for them because they witnessed the King of Kings. Mary and Joseph again end up on an alternate route, this time with Jesus, becoming refugees in Egypt, escaping a jealous ruler. They end up far from their home on an alternate route. Of course, a couple of weeks ago, we heard the story of Jesus getting lost in the temple. He was astounding the scholars. Meanwhile, Mary and Joseph were heading back to Bethlehem and had to double back, had to take an alternate route because they had lost Jesus, a 12-year-old, in Jerusalem. But that alternate route allowed them to see who this person was, who this Jesus was, their son, but more. And now today we hear about the people on the Jordan watching this event of baptism. An alternate route is taking place that will change the entire world. That alternate route is the Son of God who is baptized and who will baptize with fire and the Holy Spirit. An alternate route. Now, my brothers and sisters, we are surrounded by stories as people. Stories that come at us from all angles. Stories about how to become rich and successful. Stories that are economic and political and in some cases military, dealing with power and prestige. But no story in the history of humankind has altered the world like this story of alternate routes. The story of Mary and Joseph, the story of Jesus, the story of John the Baptist, of Magi and shepherds. This story has changed our world, and it continues to shape it, more so than these ramps that are going to lead into our church. They lead to the promise that God has made to us. A promise that was wrapped in swaddling clothes and laid in a manger. The promise that brought shepherds and magi. The promise that spoke to scholars. The promise that would be baptized in the Jordan. The promise that would lead a group of disciples through Nazareth, Galilee, Judah, Jerusalem. A promise that would proclaim good news, but also alienate the powerful. A promise that was for a future that we have not yet realized. A promise that would be tried, tortured, and crucified. A promise that would lie in a tomb wrapped by swaddling clothes once more, but only to thrust them off and rise again as a promise to all of us. This year, as we leave behind Christmas season, today being our final day of Christmas, as we leave behind our Christmas season and enter into ordinary time, we do so with a very particular brand of story from Luke. Luke's lens, Luke's vision of Jesus was one of justice, of turning upside down the world. Just like these ramps outside that are creating a better way. Luke envisions Christ as the one who was challenging the way things were, who tore things down in order to build them up, to call us along with the prophets to new life, to justice. So this year, as we listen to Luke tell the story of Jesus, tell the story of the promise, we do so with his challenge. A challenge that will confront us as we look at the way we treat the poor, the way we treat people who are dealing with homelessness, mental illness, violence, sicknesses, illness, injury, displacement, refugees at our border. Luke is going to challenge us to examine our own hearts and souls and to ask, do we have room for the promise? For this story, the story that does change our world. My brothers and sisters, there are alternate routes all across our world. But this alternate route, this route that leads us to this place, is one worth taking. Because here we will bring paper and ink and offer them to God, and he will give us back the Word made flesh. Here we will take bread and wine. We will offer it to him, and he will return to us his very body and blood. We will take our broken selves, and he will offer the world his Son, shining through us for the world. That's the promise that he makes to us. That's the promise that he makes through us. It's a promise that the alternate route will lead us to the story of a promise of eternity, to a forever home. It is worth the risk to stumble a bit in the dark in order for us to make a home here for the kingdom of God, that we might enjoy forever the kingdom of heaven. So may God bless us on our journey this year, this journey with Luke, and may God bless us as we take the alternate route, the route to our forever home.